Aloha, velina mai me ke aloha, ma ko Hawaii pai Aina. Thank you and welcome to Truth and Justice in our wonderful Hawaiian archipelago, ko Hawaii pai Aina. That's what it is, Maoli style in the Maoli language, or known as the Hawaiian language. We are here on Channel 55, 1 week after our last show with our awesome guest that you and everybody else just totally loves, Miss Napua Hu'eo. And she spoke to all of us about Revolution Aloha, a wonderful movement. Go check it out on Facebook, talk story, and get involved. It's time for Aloha to be the way that we live our lives once again, and do it with sincerity and grace. So, Napua, we want to send you out our aloha and thank you and mahalo for being on our show. And also to Tita and everybody over there, ka ohana ma ke anai. Mahalo aku ia o ko pukahe paulua. We are going to talk about a few different subjects tonight, and they have to do with the same line of thought, though, and maybe I should say the same line of spirit. First of all, I want to let you know that we are on Channel 55. We've switched over, and we are now on, of course, the old re-airing dates on Monday still at 7 p.m. And just a reminder, we're on every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. So set your recorders. And also every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Also, this show is uploaded to YouTube, to Mahealani with the Poipoi Honua, the entire globe, and whoever can have access to internet. And then also the show is uploaded to our Facebook page. It's called Truth and Justice. It's on Facebook. Check it out. Also, with that page, because it's in the social networking scene you are also interested in, you can contact us or contact me through the page Truth and Justice on Facebook. And what we'd like for you to do is also let us know your ideas and suggestions for shows and also interviews, and send us your videos. Send us what we should know about and be aware of that's happening in our community. It's yours and mine, and it belongs to the next generation. So as Makua, we are responsible for this kuleana that we have, and we can malama that action. And that's all done with aloha. And speaking of aloha, we want to send a huge aloha out to Napo'e, Hawaiian homelands. And you're in our prayers, and know that we do love you so much. You're so precious to all of us, and great blessings, and our deep aloha, as you know, goes out to you. We hope to be with you again soon. And a mahalo, huge mahalo nui loa to all of you out there that kicked butt on the PLDC action, what I like to call the Public Lands Displacement Corporation, or Proposed Lands Displacement Company, or just all the propaganda, and you can use your own imagination after that too. So that has been killed. Check it out. Facebook is just crazy with all of the news about it, and I think we have sustainability or Sustainable Pulse, kalamai.com is also another organization. And right on, peeps, we want to give you some aloha out there and let you know that you can check these guys out. If you want more information on the GMO label bill that got passed, it's past one hurdle. We want it to continue going, and we want it to be expansive and to reach everyone and get over to other levels. And there's a little sun right here. Now I know how they do it on the big time television. Okay. Also, Kaniela Ing is carrying the latest news on what happened with PLDC. So check out his Facebook page also. Get informed. That's the best thing that we could do for one another and for ourselves in our ohana, is to be informed and to invite new information and definitely be open to it, because as we've seen quite a bit in the years that have passed, new information is coming out. Innovative ideas are blossoming everywhere. Also, on the other side to that is that especially Americans are finding out that the administrations that are in charge of their so-called political processes have been duping them all this time. It's just very, very open, and there's so many processes being exposed now. And a lot of that is attributed to the internet age. Everybody getting on the social networking engines and sharing. So mahalo to all of you who are sharing out there and who also send us information. There's such a thing, so we became aware of, that's called gutting. This action that's called gutting is when a bill that goes through the state de facto legislators committees, the bill is changed on its face, but then passed through as another one or incorporated into another bill. So everybody just be super vigilant and aware that this is something that could be happening out there. Never let your guard down that the state de facto will not do what it thinks it has to do. Well, a corporation can't think, of course, but those individuals who are vested in that corporation will come up with something such as gutting. So the PLDC may be passed under another name in another bill or attached to something else just as evil. And so we're going to have to remain aware of it. Maka'ala, everybody. That is what could happen, okay? So we need you to be super vigilant out there, all you awesome sleuther, superhuman researchers. Stay on it, and we thank you so much. I want you all to, if you haven't noticed, we brought a framed photograph tonight. And this is a framed photograph of Queen Emma, or otherwise known in the public as Kalele Onalani. And here she is. We thought we'd bring her out this evening because we like to add a little bit of an extra touch and just have a reminder here for you to also consider and think about, and we honor our ali'i. Like all ali'i, she too had the responsibility of establishing trusts as part of her own personal estate to provide benefits. And I don't really want to use that word, but the benefits that she directly caused to happen and are existent today happens to be Queen Emma's hospital that she and with her husband Liho Liho at the time established. She established trusts for the Kanaka Koinai and the Maui to have free health care. And this all came out of the ali'i's personal estates. Now that is part of a system that is known as the mahele. Because in the mahele, these parts of the governance of the still existing and recognized constitutional governance, the body of Ko Hawaii Pai Aina, reduced in English as the Hawaiian Kingdom or the Hawaiian Islands or Kingdom of Hawaii, was set upon a system that is so unique and is based on a sharing. That's why it's called mahele. And mahele has never meant and will never mean, no matter how many changes UH Manoa or Napoe Haole make to our language, it will never mean to divide. We do have our own word for divide, and that is ka'avale. Doesn't even sound alike, yeah? Mahele, ka'avale. So Queen Emma was hugely instrumental in providing free health care for the people of the nation that her ancestors founded and discovered on their own. We want to just put that reminder out there to everyone, and if you didn't know, well, now you know. We're so grateful. Mahalo. There are other trusts too. I think I'm being reminded that Queen Emma did set up, and also King Liholiho. They provided, as was the responsibility now of all ali'i, they provided for the 33 1/3% patented kanaka rights and titles and interests that are intrinsically, it's humuhumud into the land and the patented water. Both cannot be split apart, or else it results in something illegal. And that's for a whole nother show. As you know me, I can't just skip over that subject matter. I'm going to include it. We're going to talk about it, and something that we're going to have to raise, which brings me to the next announcement. The Principality of Aloha, Kamoku Aina Aloha, has been was accepted back in October by the Global Coordinating Committee set up by the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples 2014. The General Assembly actually set up the structure for this conference to take place. And within this conference structure, the Global Coordinating Committee was set up, and the Principality of Aloha was chosen to host the Pacific Region Preparatory Meeting. And since October, several committees, a steering committee, working committee, and a bunch of very dedicated people have been working hard on making preparations for the regional preparatory meeting to take place here, Maui, from March 20th to March 23rd. There will be 3 days to prepare papers to draft a declaration from the Pacific region that will be utilized in the way, and I'm summarizing, in the way that the G77 will deal with the people they term Indigenous. Not only Indigenous people are asked to be a part of this process. Let me read something to you from the report on preparations by Indigenous peoples for the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples, the year 2014. I'm reading from the Oeaku International Justice Project. Oeaku International at me.com is where you can find the document. They put out a paper or an updated report on the status of preparations for the WCIP, the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples. And in this paper, it is stated, in preparing for the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples 2014, there must be innovation. Innovation has characterized the participation of Indigenous peoples in the United Nations since we first went to Geneva. The specific proposals about Indigenous participation have always come from the Indigenous peoples themselves. And this is not just about consultations with NGOs, non-governmental organizations, but with Indigenous governance bodies being recognized as such in their participation. The World Conference is an important opportunity in innovation and implementation of the Declaration, seeing those rights realized. Now, the Declaration that is being spoken of in here, and it was spoken by James Anaya in his introductory remarks at the Open-Ended Indigenous Peoples Brainstorming Meeting, such long titles, yeah, on the WCIP 2014. The meeting was held in Copenhagen, Denmark. Now, the declaration document that is spoken of in here is what will be drafted and finalized during the March prep meeting on the island of Maui. The Hawaii contingency is one of the largest contingencies because we are an archipelagic state, and there are many delegates that are going to receive formal invitations and will possibly have positions that will be accommodated. Mr. Anaya's words underscore the context in which Indigenous peoples have always participated in the United Nations, with treaties, with the traditions as Indigenous people, with the right of self-determination, with treaties, with the responsibility to maintain stewardship over our lands and territories, and most importantly, to preserve Mother Earth for the generations to come. The model is, of course, the same as participation has always been within the UN, with respect to Indigenous participation beginning with the Working Group on Indigenous Peoples, the full and effective participation of all Indigenous peoples, nations, organizations, parliaments, and governance bodies, regardless of state recognition or any official NGO status within the United Nations system itself. So that kind of gives you a brief idea of what the purpose is for this regional meeting that's being called. And we've already received a lot of letters of support by many of you, mahalo, and also interest by your delegates. And we've also received Tahiti Archipelago interest and inquiries. We'd like to extend our aloha to all of our families in the family of nations. We also have in addition received inquiries from as far as Africa, Europe, and Canada and Alaska, and we welcome each and every one of you on behalf of the Principality of Aloha, on behalf of the members of the archipelago of Kohawa'ipai Aina, and also on behalf of the Ad Hoc Conciliation Commission of Kohawa'ipai Aina, which is a civil society organization registered with UNDESA. That's the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. We want to have a wonderful event and invite everyone, as many delegates and signatories as possible. There will be the International Organization of Economic Development there with us, so that individuals, hopefully signatories, can not only become aware of the opportunity to have a relationship with the IOED, which is a non-recourse funding organization, but to also start nation building and economic development with a view towards independence. Now, this is all very exciting, and we could hardly stand it, and I could hardly sleep, like ever since I came back from Arizona. There's a lot of work to do, and we're also calling out for volunteers. So if we could have volunteers, if you'd like to participate, be a part of the event, and hang out with us at the last night on a luau possibly, and do music and mixer nights with us. Oh, and also, we're making a call out for speakers to participate in a half-day event on March 23rd, which is the last day of the preparatory meeting. And we're looking for speakers who are able to help Indigenous peoples, nations, and states, and unrecognized peoples in their path toward independence, with nation building and economic development being the focus. Of special import here, we'd like to welcome and invite all of the delegates and signatories to accede to a central treaty that will be placed up on a website that is being built right now. But in the meantime, we'd like to let you know that we are taking in registrations for your delegates and signatories. The email is on the screen here that we have for you. And thank you to Akaku, all of the volunteers and wonderful staff here. Everybody's so wonderful in Olu. By the way, Jay, can we please have coverage from Akaku on this event? Okay, thank you. All right. We want to let you know that we have a couple of guests calling in from our sister island, Molokai Hina. And are they on yet? On the phone?
7-8 minutes.
Oh, we got, okay, 7-8 minutes. So I can continue talking about this wonderful topic because I know that everyone's just waiting to hear more. Right now, the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples 2014 is in preparation stages. And part of our kuleana, when we're working, in this venue, is to prepare an outcome document. The outcome document has been finalized and submitted by the African caucus already. It's been submitted by the Asian caucus, I believe, already, and these documents are available. We will have those documents available for you to look at to get an example of what to expect prior to attending this event. We have a preliminary agenda made, and there will be a program made as well. Oh, by the way, we're looking for sponsors for this event. The major sponsors that we have will be, of course, speaking. And maybe we should talk about that more, because the speakers circle is the anchor to this event. There's the treaty, there's the non-recourse funding made available through an economic development organization. There's registration as beneficiaries to the North Pole Trust. But there's also this speakers circle. The speakers circle that happens on March 23rd that will also, yes, be open to the public as well, is going to be a very different type of, kind of a TEDx kind of a look, because we'll have 11 speakers speaking for 15 minutes with presentations that are prepared to give the participants and the members, the states, nations, indigenous peoples that attend there that day, something that they'll take home with them and implement in their home nation or their tribe or their state. They will be able to take these ideas and actually activate them. Some of the topics that will be spoken about will be, and shown, will be pollution as a resource, trash as a resource. How do we take care of it without polluting the river? How do we build our homes out of sanitized trash and make it look like lumber or anything we want, using advanced technology, but in respect to and totally inclusive of the ancient wisdoms that is unique to the people in that area, and that will serve to make a place that is not adverse to the ecos of that environment. Other topics include sustainable health, living healthy, bringing out information from the ancient wisdoms of the medical materica that was used, by kupunapunas that were marginalized during heavy Western occupation and before Western medicine dependency developed or pharmaceutical dependencies developed. There were plants, there were herbs, there were healing remedies around us, and we lived with that in our culture and in our system. A very interesting speaker will be talking about the ways to build and the ways to plan and design based on the ethos that is unique to a nation's or tribe's environment. I'd like to introduce you to our guests this evening, Kalani'ua Ridi and Mercy Ridi from Molokai Nuyahina. Aloha. Well, we can show the video first that was put together by Mercy and Kalani'ua, and it depicts a problem that's taking place on our sister island Molokai, which is not very far from Maui or Lanai or even the global connectivity. Let's take a look at that video and then we'll take care of the phone calls. Hey, aloha mai. Kalani ua, are you on the line?
Yes.
All right, aloha pehea.
Hello.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
All right, how are you? Good.
Hello. Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, mahalo. Thank you for that. So the video, tell
Oh,
us what's happening there.
basically, you get these two chemical companies that are here eating up all our ag lands and planting the GMO crop on them. And they basically it's a test field. They're testing all the pesticides, herbicides, all the insecticides on these test fields. And all these acres of corn that you see, nothing is for human consumption. So it's basically a test site. Molokai is a test site for all these poisons and pesticides that most of them are banned in Europe and everywhere else except in America. So that's how we got going on here.
So that's, tell us, who are the two companies?
You get Monsanto, and then you get Dow or Mycogen.
Dow, okay.
Dow, yeah.
I happen to have an executive summary report on confirming that these carcinogens, well, all the pesticides that Dow AgroSciences and Dow whatever the plethora creates goes airborne, and I thought it'd be interesting to add this to what you have to say. Can you?
Yeah, they get these two types of tests. They get regulated and unregulated. And the regulated testing is, they get regulated by they're basically self-regulated, so they regulate themselves. And the USDA has some regulation restrictions on them, but we talked to the agent, and basically she don't know which field is which field. So the regulated fields, one of the big rules is the pesticides and the pollen got to stay contained to that field. But in the past year, we had like 4 major dust storms, like half-mile high and miles long, and they just blow right through Holehua, they blow right through Mala'au, and they blow right out into the ocean, they blow into people's homes. And the scary part is, all these fields is just like it's a big mixing bowl. So you get all kind, you get the 2,4-D mixing with Roundup, and you get all these other chemicals which we have no clue what they are. And they're just mixing up, they're blowing into people's houses. They get these fields across our schools, by our high school. They get them by our big reservoir up here that feed Manaloa, the drinking water. And it's all in residential areas, and it's pretty scary because if you look at what these pesticides decide, what they cause, it's like it links up perfectly to what we have on Molokai: high cancer rate, high diabetes, high child mortality. You get ABD and asthma. You get so much kids with asthma, and it just lines up with what these pesticides cause. But it's just hard to get people turn their corner and realize that the job is just not worth it.
Right, or sacrificing our nation's royal patents is just not worth it.
Oh, yeah. And it goes beyond just the people. Like, if you saw in there the deer, during the drought season, they go into the fields and they just eat the baby shoots. And this is corn that could be BT, you know what I mean? The pesticide is in the corn, and they eat this corn, and then it stays in them. Because these pesticides, what they do is they move through the food chain. So now that's our subsistent meat. The thing is infected, these deer. And now we eating the infected deer. It blows into the ocean, infecting the fish, all the crabs, the sea life. So that's all where our subsistence ground stays, is right below the fields. And it's bad to see. I mean, even the birds, they get birds flying in there. And that's just, it's just bad.
Well, thank you for making the video. Mahalo to both of you for that, because it depicts what people don't see.
Yeah, because if you ask them for any information, they're pretty much not going to give you nothing. They're going to give you a nice letter with often big words, but not really answer no questions. And all they're going to say is trust us. We have the health of the community in our goals and all this. And it's big words, but it really doesn't mean anything, and they're not transparent at all.
Who have you talked to about this? Did you go right to Dow and right to Monsanto?
Yeah, they give you the PR people, like Adolf Helm is a PR person for Mycogen, and Don McCoy is. So they get Molokai people, and they use them as fronts. So like Adolf Helm, the half name is big time. Everybody put that name with Kaolawi with the broad of Georgia, but he's on the other side, and he's pushing these GMO fields through. And it's getting pretty scary. I mean, in the past 4 years, this thing will explode.
And yeah, and Molokai, to tell you, from Maui, I'll be one of the first to tell you that Molokai has changed.
Yeah.
And even though the Naulu is trying to make its way over there, there's no greenery drawing it, and there's no uluvehi-vehi happening anymore. Tell us about the water over there on the island.
We just had a major drought. So with the MIS system was set up for homesteaders and for use for farming.
Mm-hmm.
So homesteaders get 2/3 preference to the water. But over the years, with the corruption in the MIS board, which is now almost 2/3 total Monsanto mycogen workers, headed by Adolf Helm, who wears the hat of the homestead representative, but also wears the hat of the mycogen representative. So the board is just stacked with Monsanto and mycogen workers, and they just allot water to whoever. So right now, non-homesteaders are using more than 2/3 of the water, and homesteaders are using less than 1/3. But the funny thing is, if you're a homestead farmer and you try to increase your water rate, they get on cap on how much water can come out of that. So once Monsanto using 80% of the cap, there's only a little bit water for the homesteaders use, so we cannot use plenty, and if we do, we have to pay extra. So the only guys who can pay extra and still sustain themselves are these big companies. And we have organic farms going out of business that is at the ag park. I guess one just went out of business because they couldn't keep up with the water rates because Monsanto overdraw. We had the restrictions put on everybody. Have to water crops, but then you got to pay double once your water rate will be restricted or your water use, they got to pay double or something like that. And the only guys who can do that is the big rich chemical companies. So they're actually putting small farmers out of business too.
Right. There's sustainability to them is sustaining themselves.
Right. And like I said, the field is all around the big reservoir. So these chemicals, they also they evaporate, but they don't lose. The molecules stay, you know what I mean, the same. So it's still the pesticide. So it floats up into the air, into the wind column. The nighttime comes and it becomes cooler, and it just drops down. And it does this daily, and it just accumulates in wherever the cool spots. So you know what I mean. That's the water for Mauna Loa. That's the water we use for water our gardens and feed our animals, and it's contaminated. I mean, way back from the pineapple days and now till now.
So, as most people will realize, that once it hits our water system, it's in everything, even in us.
But these guys, these companies, they go deep back. So like all our regulatory agencies, they have ex-employees actually working in the higher positions in like the FDA, the EPA, the USDA, all the bosses of the, you know what I mean, in the mainland, they're all ex-employees of Monsanto or mycogen or some seed company. I mean, and then you go to Honolulu, to the legislature, and all them are, you know what I mean, they're getting buyoffs from Monsanto. You get the same guys every year killing deals that will help us make these companies transparent. You get like Cliff Suji every year. What is the girl from Maui? What is you guys' representative? What is her name? Oh, God.
Of the de facto admin, I don't know.
What is her name? She always
Baker?
But she's always cutting it down. And you have all these guys, so like their clause is deep, so they do a lot of illegal stuff, but everybody thinks that it's okay because these regulatory agencies are allowing it to happen. But if you look closely, I mean, they get them grease. It's called the revolving door, and that's exactly what it is. It's like, wow. These guys get them all the way up to the judicial system. It's almost like a movie, and you look, no way, this cannot be happening, you know. And when you really look at it, you think, whoa, this is happening.
We
get sick bits for proof. We get fat kids with runny noses and asthma pumps, you know.
Well, I wanna add to the proof, and we have to thank our friend Fed. This is an independent study. Thank you. Sorry about that. I couldn't just drop my cup of water. This is an independent study done by Paddle Delamore Partners Limited. Dioxin concentrations in residential soil, Paritutu, New Plymouth, Aotearoa. Wow. Because the people had raised such an enormous movement. This was done in September 2002, and this is the only independent study that was made.
Wow.
And people
on the dioxin.
Yes, and people risked their lives to bring this out
Wow.
We don't want to ever get to the level that had happened in Aotearoa.
Right.
But they were discovering fetal deaths and disformations and everything. I just want to let you read this. I don't know if you can read it, but I'm going to read it to you. Executive summary in the introduction alone now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says agricultural chemicals including herbicide 2,4,5, trictylophenanoxacetic acid. It's 2,4,5-T.
Right.
Were historically manufactured in the plant currently owned by Dow AgroSciences Limited, which is Dow,
Right.
located in the New Plymouth suburb of Paritutu. Dioxin, or more precisely 2378-TCDD, was a manufacturing contaminant of the 2,4,5-T. 2378-TCDD is recognized as a human carcinogen.
Right.
That means it's
Cancer.
cancer. It causes
Right.
cancer, which takes many forms.
Oh, yeah.
And it may cause a variety of other adverse health effects, like asthma, other things like that, ADD. You know.
ADD, yeah.
Yeah.
And it affects, all the pesticides affect the young kids the most, and the embryo, like when they're in the mama's stomach.
Yes, because it's designed to target mitochondrial DNA,
Right.
which is
And
in the uterus. So it's like they're attacking the very genealogy that we're trying to perpetuate.
and if you look on Molokai, in any agro community, where you industrial ag, I mean, it's the birth defects, the you know what I mean, the deaths, the birth deaths, and all that. It's very high on Molokai. It's almost like it's so normal that you don't really think about it. It's like, they lost some baby, but everybody I know at least lost some baby. You know what I mean? Miscarriages. So it's right in our face, but people just
So
we need
people
all the
are,
information for, you know what I mean, on the chemicals and all of this, but people just, I don't know, Molokai's weird, I guess. They just don't like step forward because they have friends that work for the companies.
and they know
And
they're being
the jobs is like
poisoned.
real scarce over here, but
So they're doing it for money. They're
yeah,
just doing it for money.
we do them for like our kids, the love of our land, for continue this lifestyle, and all our other workers can do is say that they're doing it for the paycheck. It's a paycheck.
Well, this is
that's
what you're participating in if you're out there listening and you're not being affected and you're working for these murderous corporations out there, and you're participating in this.
right.
The former IWD plant was the principal source of 2378 TCDD present in the soil in the area. Now you heard Brada telling us about the windstorms and everything and air moving in the wind. Contamination occurred via discharges to air with subsequent deposition over residential neighborhood.
Right.
The rest of the report centers on horrible health defects, horrible, senseless lives, destruction to lives that have happened, and this is what's coming to you, Maui.
Maui, yeah. Hawaii eating them too. The Waimea side, where all the Hawaiians live, is get so much field. It's above their salt patches. And it's,
Yeah, and you have to think about it. I mean, who's bringing this in? Who's making the contracts to bring in Monsanto and to bring in Dow and to bring in these murderous corporations? And by the way, they do have an open air field similar to that on Molokai over here on Maui, on Kanani Street and the highway. It's right across, perfectly situated across of a preschool. And between
yeah, sounds like them.
Maupopo, and between the police station and the lab and the preschool, they built a brand new police station, as if the preschoolers are gonna rally one day, you know, and figure it out and throw their milk away, and they're in disgust, you know, learning that this is GMO contamination.
And it's like, even if you don't live by the field, you're getting affected, because what these guys do is they make pesticides. So even if you're a taro farmer living next to you, and he's growing his taro, but he's spraying with the pesticides, it's the same pesticides that get approved in these restricted tests. So you could be growing more taro, fields of them, and be spraying them with these pesticides, and you're doing the same damage as this GMO corn or this Monsanto.
That's right.
And it goes like when we in Hanalei, and we look down in Hanalei Valley, and we saw the Roundup circles or the rings around all the time. They lokies. It's like these guys spraying Roundup on the loki with the taro, you know what I mean, in there, and they were eating the taro, and it's like, wow, never gonna eat Hanalei poi again.
Never.
Same with Molokai sweet potato.
Actually, yeah, we stopped
Molokai,
eating that.
Yeah, Molokai sweet potato. If you eat Molokai sweet potato, you better look again, because the farmer who's raising a sweet potato, on handshake deal with Monsanto, and they're on her property, and they're rotating crops, field tests with her sweet potato, because after they power the field test, the ground is basically cleansed of nematodes and whatever. So she get her sweet potato growing in fields where just had GMO crop and sprays, and she's selling them. So even if you don't live by the field, this thing is affecting you. You might be think that you're eating one great Hawaiian balanced diet of poi and sweet potato, and you're eating poi, sweet potato, and pesticides. So it affects everybody, not just us living by the field.
Right, because it's airborne, and it's proven, people, it is a fact. GMO viruses go airborne, and they do cause your cancer.
Right. And it's mostly like around, like, you can argue the GMO issue back and forth, but you cannot really argue the pesticide issue. The pesticides are known.
Very good point.
Right there. They cannot argue the pesticide issue. And it's like...
That's right. That's right.
If you're eating vegetables that are not organic, you're pretty much eating Monsanto pesticides. that's the business, you know what I mean? So even if that's a farm owned by Jack Black or whoever, they're using pesticides, you're getting affected the same as the people.
Well, what are we going to do about this? What do you see?
Well, you can write to the legislators, even though I don't know how to get in office every year. But you can, I guess, just change your diet slowly. Just eat organic stuff, even though more expensive. Because, of course, these huge millionaire companies get subsidies, which is basically welfare from the government, so they can make their products cheaper than the organic guys. You can basically change your diet. Just one organic meal a day or one organic thing. Just work your way up and get them in the pocketbooks. If the consumer will not eat GMO food, then they cannot grow GMO food. They got to grow what the consumer wants to eat. So that's the easiest way. Just change your diet. No need to be cold turkey change. Turn vegan overnight, but just like one meal a week, and then just work your way from there. Just buy organic stuff, and not necessarily island-grown things, but because they can use the same pesticides as Monsanto. But I would just go and start with eating organic.
And how about if the people of Molokai were weaned off of Monsanto paychecks? How about if they had a different economy to contribute to?
It's just not, that, they can go Lanai, go work for Ellison, he's looking for workers. But no, something else can come up. They said that about Dole. When Dole left, they said, oh no, everybody got to move off the island, no more jobs, something else came up. When we stopped La'au Point, same thing. They thought, everybody, and then Monsanto had jumped in. So it's just these corporations using scare tactics. They're like, oh man, we need nothing will come in. You guys are not going to have no jobs.
That's important.
Yeah, it is, but
how can...
where you know what I mean?
Yes.
That you're not impacting everybody else on the whole island. Even like Vandana Shiva was telling us, it's not only on this island. This is like the start of the chain.
Yes, so and it's a good point to bring up that we are islands, because according to the foreign United States military administration, the islands make the perfect testing beds for experiments like this. And human experimentation is illegal under not only the Geneva Conventions, but also human rights compacts that the county of Maui is obligated to uphold.
Right.
So I think we need to stick to that point as well and make them accountable, because they're obligated to not only the law of the land, which is the treaties that we have, but also to our lives and our families. They're accountable.
And if we really like to be good parents and we care about our kids' future and the future of this place, you're going to have to get political. Planning guys don't like to get political, but instead of watching American Idol, maybe you should go tune in and see what's happening, which bills are being passed, which bills are being blocked, and, because get some good bills out there for the pesticide, for being transparent on any pesticide use. You got to say what you're spraying, and get another bill for label GMO food, so if
Let's
the food
do
is
it.
genetically modified or your genetically modified ingredients, it's labeled, so you have
know
no
that,
choice.
can I just, sorry to interrupt you, but I want to ask you a question and we're running out of time.
Yep.
Are there signs near these fields identifying what they are and how they poison people?
Yeah, because the whole field by like Manila Camp, you look over there, cancer, birth defects, but it's very hard to catch these guys there because they work 24/7. So like the wildlife stuff, they get guys in there cleaning up. The wildlife we caught dead was just because, I don't know, they got sloppy, but usually they get guys all 24 hours a day. There's somebody in the field and they're cleaning up everything. They bury the dead animals so we cannot.
So they're
find
hiding
them.
the evidence of their crimes.
See, that's one we get hard time on because most of the records, the health records, they blocked, they're confidential. So you get the normal, like, her whole family get asthma, but that's like a normal over here, you know what I mean? It's real hard to pinpoint them, besides everybody getting cancer and kids get asthma and everybody having miscarriages. Because the hospital, for some reason, they're not on big health. Not at all. It's like we see all these patients, but I guess it's business effort.
They're told not to speak about it. I know because I've spoken to nurses in the hospital, and actually they've come up to me and I've had them crying, actually saying,
But off the record, they're not going to say nothing because of the job. But
they have this. There's this appearance of fear, and there's a fear for their paychecks, and the only economy is the captured economy, fabricated by the state de facto. And it's about time we need to unite. I hope to see you and your family over here on Maui during the international conference. We'll get a chance to unite. March 20th through the 23rd.
Okay.
And we got the website. Oh, okay. Pili says she'll send you a link.
Okay.
Okay?
I just believe in one last thing.
Yes.
If you support GMOs and all this testing and pesticide stuff, maybe all the workers and all the guys who do support, maybe they should go live in the fields and reap what they sow. That'll be fair.
They're probably suffering internally, and 3 or 4 generations down the line, it's going to be clear.
Yeah, but we cannot wait that long. But then.
No, but I mean, generationally, everything will change, and they will be passing cancer down.
Oh yeah. It's already happening, but I'm probably going to be there on Maui, and I hope I was helpful, and aloha.
Very helpful. Thank you for sharing with us. Mahalo to you and your ohana.
Mahalo.
Be safe.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you, Molokai nui ahina. Molokai was called Molokai no kaheke because Molokai fed and provided Pacific nurturing. And there are still fish ponds there, internal, inland, and external, and out in the ocean that were once used wide across the Pacific as the nurseries for the pelagic species. So we think about that. Why is the administration that you vote for, if you're not voting for a sovereign independent state, that you vote for possibly putting your life at risk and placing this world at jeopardy just by utilizing the archipelago as a little play center, a little testing bed for airborne carcinogens that are breathed in by you and your families. So, this kind of gives me an idea that we should have banners at the airport, shiny, beautiful, bright banners awaiting all the tourists as they get off the plane to enjoy their beautiful vacations here in Maui, Molokai, or Lanai, that clearly state, welcome, you are poisoned. Monsanto, courtesy of Dow, corporation sponsoring the air you breathe and contaminating it. It just makes me have these ideas, but we will only have ideas if we're not able to come together and have a full, peaceful collaboration on the issues and identify how to solve the issues. Now, mahalo, we did have a few more videos for you, but we were talking story on a very important subject here. Do not eat or buy GMOs. It is poison. And constantly stay aware, be vigilant about your food, about your health, about your family. We care, and this is our way to respect and give aloha. Malama, kuleana, aloha, remember revolution aloha. And also remember that we're on channel 55 now, and that we're going to host an international conference in March. So we hope to see you all there. Don't forget, email us, prepmaui_WCIP@mail.com. Mahalo, kalele onanlani. Yes.